What's up, guys? Welcome to another one of these videos where I'm gonna comment stuff on another video. So I'm doing a fat acceptance speech this time on TEDx. I have no idea if it's gonna be good or bad. I have not watched this one yet, so I'll see you and talk a little bit more after a short clip of it.
When I first appeared on stage, what was your perception of me?
I don't know how to say this politely, but big.
Lazy, disgusting, perhaps depressed, unmotivated, unhealthy. Based on my appearance, it's usually assumed that I'm lazy and unhealthy, that my weight and my condition in life are self-inflicted.
You said it, not me.
That's not true, but often I don't get a second chance to make a first impression.
Well, that is kind of why it's called a first impression.
Now, those stereotypical perceptions that pop in people's minds when they see someone affected by obesity, that's weight bias. And while a stranger's opinion of me, like the woman in the grocery store who once made fun of my cankles, might hurt my feelings. But weight bias that I've experienced in healthcare has hurt me physically. When doctors and nurses have the perception that I'm lazy and unmotivated and non-compliant, that influences the care they provide and then has a negative impact on my health.
Well, being that big has an even greater negative impact on your health. Your hands are turning purple due to having trouble getting blood.
Little has been done to end the bias that people affected by obesity experience in their everyday lives. And that bias extends from the workplace to education to the healthcare system. Now, perhaps you're wondering, how is my health? Metabolically speaking, I'm actually pretty healthy. I don't have diabetes, I don't have sleep apnea, and I don't have high blood pressure.
If you're so healthy, then how come you're out of breath from barely moving your arms around whilst talking?
So then, why am I so fat? It's assumed obesity is a self-inflicted condition due to poor lifestyle habits. I was actually born to be fat. My excess weight is caused by two conditions.
Oh boy, time for a scapegoat.
The first one is lipedema. Lipedema is the abnormal accumulation of adipose tissue, fat. And this adipose tissue accumulates in the legs, hips, thighs, sometimes upper arms.
Basically, your fat is distributed differently?
Lipedema occurs in stages, and the advanced stages including lymphedema. Basically, the lipedema fat begins to crush the lymphatic system. Now, lymphedema is the abnormal accumulation of lymph fluid. Signs of lipedema are actually evident in pictures of me as a child, yet I wasn't diagnosed until I was in my 20s, and by that time my weight had soared to over 500 pounds. Had I been diagnosed at an earlier age, I could have gotten treatment sooner. Had my doctors not been engaging in weight bias my entire childhood, I might be telling a very different story today, or I might not be here at all. Obesity is defined as a body mass index greater than 30. And despite my obesity being due to lipedema and lymphedema, I am and will forever be categorized as having obesity. Now, before I go any further, there's a lot of debate about whether or not obesity is a disease or due to poor lifestyle choices. Whether or not, I could give a whole speech on that, but there are facts that are not debatable and that impact everyone. Obesity is an epidemic that affects 1/3 of American adults. Obesity accounts for 21% of overall US healthcare expenditures. Businesses lose $4.3 billion every year in obesity-related absenteeism. And despite all the money being spent fighting the war on obesity, obesity rates continue to rise.
Well, instead of spending money to try and fix obesity, how about you eat less, which will save money, and exercise, which doesn't cost a thing?
So why is this happening? I believe it's in part due to the fact that society and healthcare providers are blinded by bias. Instead of judging us, help us.
Hold on, let's rewind what you just said not too long ago.
All the money being spent fighting the war on obesity?
Yeah, totally sounds like they're not helping you.
The focus needs to be on the individual patient, not awareness. We know we're fat. We've been told we're fat our entire lives. Do something to help us improve our health. All the money being spent fighting the war on obesity? 15 years ago, April, the year 2000, I went to the doctor seeking help for my legs. As you can see, they were abnormally large and they leaked lymph fluid. I was scared. I nearly lost my mobility and was housebound, almost housebound. The doctor told me the problem was just my weight. She knew the problem was just my weight, yet she didn't know how much I weighed. The scale in her office didn't have a high enough capacity to weigh me.
Yeah, her point exactly.
According to the Rudd Center, only 1 in 11 physician offices have a scale with a capacity beyond 300 pounds. Imagine stepping onto the scale and hearing that clank and watching the nurse slide the weights all the way over and nothing happens. Imagine how frustrating it's to be told to lose weight and not having a starting point to monitor or gauge any progress.
Well, you could always get your own scale. They're not that expensive. Maybe $15?
I so desperately wanted to know my weight, I went to a junkyard to weigh myself. Now, in one of the richest countries in the world, a country that spends nearly $3 trillion on healthcare, and I had to resort to a junkyard to get vital medical information. That's weight bias. And it's not just a lack of scales. There's also a lack of seating and larger gowns.
That's because they cost more to produce by a lot.
And equipment. I often find that doctors' offices can't properly take my blood pressure. Either they don't have a large cuff or the staff aren't trained to take a manual reading on my arms. Weight and blood pressure are two basic yet very important vital signs, yet I go without having them documented or monitored or documented properly. Now, on a positive note, I have noticed larger seating in waiting rooms, only to find this in the exam room. So I can be waiting comfortably, but I can't be examined properly. And I don't know about you, but I can't be the only one who has trouble getting up on these things. I'm not just overweight, I'm also under tall.
Then why did I never have trouble, even as a 3-foot tall little kid, back whenever I was that small? And when I speak up about this, because that impacts, if I've had tests canceled because I weigh too much for the equipment. Okay, if I can't have the test, then how's my doctor going to make a diagnosis? And so I'm concerned, and I speak up and I'm told I shouldn't expect to be accommodated for my poor lifestyle choices. Well, that's weight bias. Hold up. You just said yourself, poor lifestyle choices. That's not other people's problems. That's what you did to yourself, so why should they accommodate you?
I'm told that doctors and hospitals shouldn't have to buy expensive equipment for just a few patients. That's weight bias. And since when is 1/3 of American adults a few patients?
Well, that's simply because 1/3 of American adults are obese, not morbidly obese.
And just so you know, I can buy a scale on Amazon for $50 with a high enough weight capacity to weigh myself. Yet doctors and healthcare providers use the expensive burden of treating obesity to defend their inadequate care.
The scale is the least of their problems. The bigger things, like those benches, they're not cheap either, and MRI machines and all this other expensive equipment are way more expensive.
Look, that's weight bias. I'm not asking to be able to ride a roller coaster at a theme park. I'm trying to save my life.
It's called exercise and diet.
Now, so to go back, I was on this journey. I was trying to get healthy. I was going to different doctor's appointments. No one was really helping me. I just kept being told to lose weight. No one was really giving me, they hand me a 1,200 calorie diet. I've never tried a diet before. Then all of a sudden the bills start coming in. And I noticed the insurance company is denying payment for my appointments. So I call them and I'm told, we don't cover cosmetic care. And I'm like, I don't know what you think I had done, but there's nothing cosmetic about this. Oh, no, ma'am, we don't cover the treatment of obesity. Okay. Even when the appointments had nothing to do with the weight loss, they were denied simply because the diagnosis code of obesity was attached to the claim.
I do have to agree that the insurance shouldn't have cut her off. I mean, seriously. What?
And again, I'm always going to have that diagnosis code. Now, the Affordable Care Act actually has a mandate to include the screening of and counseling for obesity. But simply put, that means your doctor has to weigh you, document your BMI, and tell you to lose weight. There's no mandate that insurance companies actually have to cover the cost of treatment of obesity.
Well, they shouldn't have to cover for obesity, but cutting you off because you're obese is not okay.
And while there's not supposed to be any denial of coverage for pre-existing conditions, insurers are still permitted to exclude coverage for obesity from their policies. How does that help decrease obesity rates?
It doesn't, but that'd be even more money being spent fighting the war on obesity.
All the money being spent fighting the war on obesity? So, again, to go back, I'm on this journey trying to get healthy. I finally had to advocate for myself. And
so that's going to be all for today. I had fun making this, and, well, I don't know. I just made this on the spot, just out of nowhere, out of boredom, waste time. Don't mean any hate or anything, but just thought it'd be fun to make. So, I guess I'll see you in the future.